What's going on, guys? It's Greg from East Coast Dyes here to tell you all about our newest string products, our HeroMesh and HeroStrings. So both these are available right now on eastcoastdyes.com, gymalax.com, as well as in all of our authorized retailers. So HeroMesh is our newest high-performance lacrosse mesh. This is our first ever non-wax mesh, and it costs $19.99 for a single piece. It comes in this really fresh looking box, and it comes in 6 colors. So we have white, solid gray, black, and then we have some crazy 2-color combinations. We have white with black striker, white with red striker, and white with royal striker. So we've never done these color strikers before, and they look really sick when they're strung up. To go along with the mesh, we have our newest high performance strings, HeroStrings. They're specifically designed to go with the mesh. You have all-weather performance for your entire pocket. So you can come in this clamshell. They cost $9.99, and they're also available everywhere right now. So in the HeroStrings package, you're going to get 3 shooting strings, 2 shooting nylons, and 5 sidewall strings, as well as a self-tapping screw. So for these products, our HeroMesh and HeroStrings, we partnered with Gymalax. They have been making lacrosse mesh for as long as anyone can remember, one of the first companies to ever make lacrosse mesh. And we really took a lot of our ideas and what we wanted lacrosse mesh to be, our testing, and took it to Gymalax, and they helped us make it happen. So that is 100% made in America. Gymalax has always had their products made in America, and that was something that was really important to us. So we're very excited to partner with Gymalax on our HeroMesh and HeroStrings, and think that together we were able to make a really extraordinary product. So when we were developing HeroMesh, we had a couple goals in mind. We wanted to make a mesh that was going to perform consistently across all weather conditions: hot, cold, humidity, rain, and we also wanted to make one that was easy to string and was going to never bag or never shrink on you. So really what makes HeroMesh different is it has new fibers, a new coating, and a new weave. So you can see when you get your HeroMesh, it's going to come in this really nice box, really nice presentation. It has a picture of the mesh on the front. It says semi-soft here, the color, and has the icons for our different technologies, and powered by Gymalax. And on the back, it explains all of our technology, so if you're in the store, you can check it out and read a little bit more about it. So you open up the box, you're going to pull it out, and inside is another clamshell that contains the mesh. It says feel the difference there, and HeroMesh on the back. And so then you just pop it out of the clamshell, and you are ready to string it up. So going back to what makes HeroMesh different is, again, the 3 things: the fibers, the coating, and the weave. So when we're developing the fiber, we wanted to find one that, again, wouldn't expand or shrink with hot, cold, getting wet, humidity. So if you get the pocket completely wet, it's not going to expand while you're playing, and then once it dries, it's not going to shrink either. So you're going to have a pocket that pretty much stays the same through all weather conditions, all seasons, because now lacrosse, we've seen, gets played early and early in the year. You've got snow, ice, rain, hot, humidity, so you can start in the freezing cold and end in the scorching hot with rain. So we want your pocket to stay consistent, the whole season, game 1 to game 15. When you're in the championship, we want you to have the same pocket as when you started the season with. So we developed a new fiber with Gymalax. It's called our LTH fibers, and what that stands for is lightweight, temperature resistant, and hydrophobic. So this is a completely new fiber to lacrosse, and is what really makes our HeroMesh special. So the next thing that makes HeroMesh different is the weave. So we took what we had from our East Coast mesh weave and pretty much rebuilt it from the ground up and completely redesigned a weave that's unlike any other lacrosse mesh. So we named this weave Hyper Weave, and it's very special because we were able to make it extremely tight and extremely thin. So the knots here and the connecting points are very, very tight, which means that they're not going to shift, which is going to add to the consistency through weather and the consistency over time. And the weave also creates what was our ideal for the perfectly shaped and sized diamonds, so you can get perfect pocket definition where you're going to get a really smooth release but still the optimal amount of hold. So the way the Hyper Weave works is it creates the diamonds so that you have the perfect balance between hold, feel, and smooth release. So for the coating, we also knew we needed to make a big change. This is our first ever non-wax mesh, so it's coated in a lightweight non-wax polymer, and the coating had to be again, temperature resistant, just like the fibers. We didn't want to add anything that would get hard and cold and soft in the heat, so it'll stay the same. We really wanted to give it a semi-soft feel to maximize the responsiveness of the pocket. So when I say responsiveness, what I mean is if you're cradling one-handed or catching, how quickly the ball can go from cradling one-handed to shifting up with 2 hands, moving up to under the shooters, and throwing. So we really dialed in the feel and the hardness of the coating to be a semi-soft where the pocket is able to freely move so you get the most feel and hold, but also when you're ready to shoot and throw, the hyperweave and the coating work together to make sure the mesh doesn't completely go soft and whip, so you get a smooth release with a lot of feel and hold from combination of the coating and the hyperweave. So as we developed HeroMesh, we probably went through easily over 100 prototypes. So it was very important to us while we were prototyping this mesh to try many different things, and we would change one thing at a time. I would string them up in a pocket and see how they felt, so we'd either change a little bit about the diamond size, a little bit about the weave, test dozens of different coatings, dozens of different materials. So in the end, we had well over 100 different types of mesh, and none of them were good enough until we finally dialed it in and settled in on the HeroMesh. I would string them up and then kind of sit them next to my desk. Over the next couple of days, I'd take it home, play with it, leave it out in the rain, leave it out in my car, leave it out in the snow as we were going through the season, so that we could really test how each tiny minute change in the coating or the weave or the material would affect the overall pocket, so we could really make the whole pocket perform as well as it possibly could. So with the HeroMesh, we wanted to make sure that we give you guys a couple of color options. So we have, again, the gray, the black, and the white, and then the 3-striker color options. And for these, the color is not actually dyed, the color is actually woven into the material, and that means that every single one of these colors, whether it be striker, white, or solid color, is going to feel exactly the same. So you can have a colored piece of mesh, add a little bit of flair to your stick, as we all know that I like to do, and still have the pocket that will perform exactly the same as the white. So as we were developing the HeroMesh, we knew it was very important to create a HeroStrings product that would go with the mesh, because strings are kind of underrated as a performance product in your mesh, but really that is what's going to attach the mesh to the pocket. The shooting strings have a huge effect on the performance of your pocket and how it throws, so we knew it was important that we had to make a string that had some of the same qualities as the mesh, where it was waterproof and would not change throughout the entire season or throughout different weather conditions. So that is how we created HeroStrings. So what really makes HeroStrings different is both what they're woven with, the material, and how they are woven. So one of the most important things when we're developing HeroStrings, that we make a string that is weatherproof. So this has to do with the fiber that they're woven with, which is completely new for sidewall strings. So it's a fiber like the HeroMesh that won't expand or shrink. It's hydrophobic, so that when you play in water, the strings aren't going to sag. And again, when you go from game 1 to game 15, you're going to have sidewalls that are exactly as tight as the first day when you strung them. So that brings us into our Tec Technology in the sidewalls, which essentially that means how tight they're capable of tying knots. So this really has to do with the weave of the sidewall string. So we created a weave that had a lot of texture, so that when you tie your knots, you do your sidewall pull downs, you tie your starting knots, it's going to create a knot that is extremely tight, which means it's not going to move throughout the course of the season, which also adds to the weatherproofing to keep your sidewall tension throughout the head and throughout the life of the pocket exactly the same. So we also knew we had to make these strings extremely durable. I specifically remember in college, I strung everyone's heads, and I would have kids coming 2 or even 3 times a week to me to replace their sidewall strings because they were all frayed on the inside from the ball hitting them. So we did extensive tests on the durability of all the strings to make sure they would hold up to a season or multiple seasons of continued abuse, so you won't have to switch them out, won't be constantly restringing your sidewall strings, and then we're going to stay durable and strong throughout their life. And finally, we knew that we had to have tipped sidewall and shooting strings for maximum stringer's convenience. I love them. I used to have to use pliers all the time when I string, but now with the tips, we made them slightly longer than conventional tips, so they'll act like needle points. You can really thread them very easily, so I no longer have to carry pliers around. The tips make them extremely easy to string, and they also have a little pop of black color as well. So in the HeroStrings kit, you're going to get 5 sidewalls. That's plenty to do a triangle top string, double triangle top string, do your bottom string, do your sidewalls. You're also going to get 3 shooting strings. So we really wanted to design the shooting string because, again, this has some of the biggest performance on the pocket, but it's really an underrated product. So we wanted to make them the perfect thickness and width so they would lay very, very flat. We wanted to make sure they were a very, very soft feeling shooting string, so it would lay flat and be more of a subtle kick in the pocket, so you would get the feel and snap you wanted without having a big whip or big hook. And then you get 2 of our completely redesigned shooting nylons. So in the past, I always used to just use repurposed sidewall strings for shooting nylons, but they're really not perfect for the purpose. So we created a shooting nylon that has the same kind of soft feel as the shooting strings, but is thin and a little bit harder and rounder, so that you get a little bit extra snap. It'll allow you to replace a shooting string with a shooting nylon, add some snap and a little bit of crisp feeling at the end of your shot. So I've got 6 heads, each strung with each different type of HeroMesh. We're going to start with the all fresh white. This one is a Maverick optic with white HeroMesh and white HeroStrings all the way throughout. This is a super clean setup and probably my favorite out of the bunch. So this has a mid to mid-low pocket strung up super easily in the optic with the way that they do their bottom rail to make it good for a mid pocket. Has a great looking channel for a nice, consistent, smooth release and great hold, and a double shooting nylon and one shooting string setup for a lot of snap hitting off those double nylons, so you can really load up onto those shooting strings and get a lot of power. Next up, we've got an orange SDX Stallion U with the gray HeroMesh, also strung up with the HeroStrings. This would be a dynamite pocket for a midfielder looking to really rip down the sides. It sits pretty much mid, but is able to shift up a little bit under those shooting strings and really give it a really nice solid rip with the X-Spec face shape. Has a really nice tight channel, and if I was a midfielder, this is definitely the pocket that I would use. And the bright orange of that SDX Stallion with the cool gray mesh. Gray is one of my favorite colors in string supplies these days. It's really starting to come on in the helmets and in the mesh, and this one looks super clean. For the black HeroMesh, we've got another optic. This one is an optic U, and this would be a great setup for an attack. I mean, you've got a little bit wider, meant for a mid to mid-low pocket, so that's what you got here. Sort of a mid to mid-low pocket with the black HeroMesh and the HeroStrings. Really long, nice defined, tall channel, so you're gonna be able to, like to talk about the responsiveness, cradle down low, keep it one-handed, and when you go to shoot, pocket's gonna shift up just a little bit into the mid for a little extra power and control and extra snap on your release, and really fire out some nice feeds and shots. And with the matte gray optic U, with the black mesh and the white strings outlining it, it looks pretty sweet. So now we're into the 3 striker colors, and this one is the black striker in the Carolina blue SDX Superpower Plus, and this is a really sweet pocket. This one got more of a mid-high pocket like you guys are used to seeing out of my game sticks, and 3 plain straight shooting strings with the HeroStrings to give it a really smooth release. It has a surprisingly smooth release for how high that pocket is and how nice that channel is for that high pocket. And the Carolina blue with the black striker, the striker we find to be a very subtle addition to color, where it's not going to be super crazy looking, just give you a little pop of color in the mesh, and it looks really sick. Next up, we've got the Royal Blue Striker HeroMesh in the Brine King head. You guys saw me review this head, and this is one of my recent favorites. It's specifically meant to string a great channel on the HeroMesh. Really worked really well with it. So we've got just a straight up, really defined mid pocket in it. I want to make it as defined as possible, so we would have a lot of power with the 1 shooting nylon and 2 U's. Really great channel on the King. You get a really nice flat area here and here, and the all white setup with the royal blue strikers going down the sides, and in the middle looks really sweet. Finally, we've got the red striker HeroMesh in an all red Brine Clutch Elite. This is the setup that I used for a little while testing these pockets, and I really like this setup. It's so light because the mesh is extremely light, and the Brine Clutch Elite being one of the lightest heads in the game, it's a very light setup. It's noticeably light when you pick it up compared to some of these other heads. So it got a similar shooter setup as the other ones, with a defined mid pocket, a really nice channel, the 2 shooting nylons for great snap, and the 1 shooting string just to give it a little bit of softness going in those nylons. Great shifty mid pocket, so again you're going to get that responsiveness where the ball is able to travel really well while you're cradling one-handed. Gives you a great feel and hold, and then when you're ready to shoot, it'll settle right back into the deepest part of that pocket and give you great power for shooting. So those are the 6 heads and the 6 colorways, and I'm not even sure which one I like the most. I love them all. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to leave any and all comments you have down in the comments section. You can ask any questions. We'll make sure to respond to as many questions as possible down in the comments. You can also email us on our website with any questions that you have. So HeroMesh and HeroStrings are available everywhere now. Make sure you go check it out in stores, see if you can get a display head so you can feel your friends' pieces, see what you think, and go grab one. So have a great day.